During World War II, Nazi Germany built some of the strangest and most terrifying machines ever conceived. As the conflict ended, many of these experimental giants were abandoned, left to rot in forests, sealed inside hidden bunkers, or forgotten in remote corners of Europe. Some were massive supertanks that never reached the battlefield, while others were bizarre prototypes that seemed to defy reason. For decades, they remained out of sight until remarkable discoveries and painstaking restorations brought them back into the light. From amphibious motorcycles to rotor-powered gliders and oddly shaped warplanes, each of these eerie relics reveals a story of ambition, desperation, and failure. Join us as we uncover 20 strangest abandoned Nazi Germany vehicles ever found, ghostly machines that still echo the dark ambitions of a lost era. Volkswagen Schwimmwagen. The Volkswagen Schwimmwagen was Nazi Germany's ingenious solution for a vehicle that could travel both on land and across water. Developed from the VW Kübelwagen and powered by the same rear-mounted engine that later became famous in the Volkswagen Beetle, the Schwimmwagen featured a watertight hull, a retractable propeller, and paddle-shaped wheels for basic aquatic navigation. Between 1942 and 1944, more than 15,000 units were produced, making it the most mass-produced amphibious car in history. Lightweight yet rugged, the Schwimmwagen was primarily used by reconnaissance units, engineers, and special operations forces. Its ability to seamlessly transition from muddy roads to rivers or swampy terrain made it especially valuable on the Eastern Front, where melting snow and swampy conditions often trapped conventional vehicles. Soldiers could drive it straight into a river, drop the propeller into position, and motor across, an impressive capability for the 1940s. After the war, countless Schwimmwagens were abandoned in rivers, lakes, and marshlands, either due to fuel shortages, mechanical failure, or the chaos of retreat. Over the decades, explorers and divers have recovered rusted but remarkably intact examples from Polish lakes, Ukrainian rivers, and French mudflats, their sealed hulls and oil-coated interiors helping preserve key components. Today, restored Schwimmwagens occasionally appear at vintage car rallies and military vehicle shows, where some are still fully operational, driving effortlessly from land to water even 80 years later, a lasting testament to their durable and forward-thinking design. The Folk Aggelis FA330, nicknamed the Bockstelze or Wagtail, was one of the strangest reconnaissance devices of World War II. Essentially a rotor kite, it wasn't a true helicopter, but a lightweight autogyro designed to be towed behind German U-boats. As the submarine cruised on the surface, the forward motion spun the rotor, lifting a single observer up to 400 feet, 122 meters, in the air. From this height, the spotter could scan the horizon for Allied convoys, dramatically extending the U-boat's visual range. The FA330 was cleverly foldable and lightweight, allowing quick deployment and retrieval, but using it was dangerous. Launching the kite forced the submarine to remain surfaced and vulnerable to enemy aircraft or patrol ships. For this reason, it was deployed primarily in the Indian Ocean, where Allied air cover was sparse. Roughly 200 units were built, but only a few were ever used operationally. After the war, most FA330s were dismantled or forgotten. However, in the 1970s, a nearly complete example was discovered in storage at a former Luftwaffe test site, its aluminum frame, canvas seat, and two-blade rotor still intact. Today, surviving FA330s are extremely rare, with only a handful preserved in museums such as the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum. Though it never altered the course of the conflict, the FA330 stands as a remarkable example of Nazi experimentation, proving that even submarines were not exempt from Germany's relentless pursuit of technological advantage. The Blohm Voss BV 141 was one of the most unconventional aircraft designs of World War II. Breaking away from traditional symmetry, this reconnaissance plane featured a single engine mounted in the fuselage on one side and a fully glazed crew gondola offset on the opposite side, creating a bizarre but surprisingly balanced layout. Designed to give observers an unobstructed panoramic view for spotting enemy movements, the BV-141 performed better than its odd appearance suggested, offering stable handling and excellent visibility. Despite its unique advantages, the BV-141 was produced in only small numbers, largely because Germany prioritized the more conventional Focke-Wulf F-189 for reconnaissance duties. A handful of BV-141s were built and tested, but production never scaled up. After the war, most were scrapped or lost, though photographs and scattered wreckage confirm its brief operational history. Today, the BV-141 remains a legend of aviation eccentricity, a reminder that some of World War II's most daring engineering ideas were also the most visually startling.
BMW R75 with sidecar. The BMW R75 with sidecar was one of the most versatile motorcycles used by the German Wehrmacht during World War II. Built for rugged terrain and battlefield utility, this wasn't just an ordinary two-wheeler. It featured a powered sidecar wheel connected by a drive shaft, giving it exceptional traction in mud, snow, and steep inclines where conventional bikes would fail. Between 1941 and 1944, over 16,000 units were produced, serving roles from reconnaissance and dispatch duties to troop transport. Many were even fitted with machine guns, transforming them into fast-moving combat vehicles. In 2007, hikers in Germany's Black Forest made a stunning discovery: a BMW R75 with its sidecar still attached, hidden beneath decades of moss and forest debris. Despite years of exposure, the motorcycle remained largely intact. Its tires were flat, but the frame, engine block, and saddle were remarkably well preserved. Faded Wehrmacht markings were still visible, and leather saddlebags containing rusted tools and a fragment of a field map lay nearby. Experts believe the bike was likely abandoned during a late-war retreat, probably due to mechanical failure rather than intentionally hidden or destroyed. Junkers Ju-87 Stuka dive bomber. Known as the Stuka, the Junkers Ju-87 was Nazi Germany's iconic dive bomber and a terrifying symbol of early blitzkrieg tactics. Its inverted gull wings and infamous Jericho trumpet sirens made it instantly recognizable and feared during the invasions of Poland and France. But by the later years of the war, the Stuka became increasingly vulnerable to faster Allied fighters. In 2015, divers near Ålesund, Norway, uncovered one of the rarest surviving examples, resting in a cold, oxygen-poor fjord since a crash landing during the 1940 Norwegian campaign. Despite decades underwater, the fuselage, wings, and even parts of the tailplane were still intact. Luftwaffe insignia remained faintly visible on the wing, and the shattered canopy was partially attached. Recovery teams carefully raised the aircraft and confirmed its identity through engine and serial numbers. Now undergoing conservation, this Stuka stands as one of fewer than a dozen partial examples left in the world, offering a haunting glimpse into the air power that once dominated Europe's skies. Among the strangest and most nightmarish concepts of World War II, few compare to the Landcruiser P-1000 Rata, a machine so enormous it bordered on science fiction. Commissioned by Hitler himself, the Rata was designed to be the largest tank ever conceived, a rolling fortress of unprecedented size and power. Planned to stretch an astonishing 115 feet in length and weigh over 1,000 tons, this steel giant would have required a crew of more than 20 men to operate. Its proposed armament included naval-grade 280mm guns, multiple anti-aircraft cannons, and armor thick enough to withstand nearly any contemporary weapon. Yet the Rata was doomed from the start. Although blueprints and some prototype components were produced by the armaments firm Krupp, the sheer impracticality of the design sealed its fate. No existing roads or bridges could support its colossal weight, and its fuel demands would have crippled even Germany's vast supply lines. Worse still, the Rata would have been a slow-moving, highly visible target, vulnerable to air attacks and nearly impossible to conceal. After the war, historians uncovered long-lost design documents and rusted prototype parts in a sealed bunker near Berlin, offering a chilling glimpse into the extremes of Nazi ambition. Today, surviving fragments and scale models of the P-1000 Rata are displayed at the Military Technical Museum in Koblenz, Germany, where they serve as a haunting reminder of a regime that dreamed of turning megalomania into machinery.
Kugelpanzer, among the most mysterious military vehicles of World War II, the Kugelpanzer stands out as one of Nazi Germany's strangest experiments. This odd, one-man machine looks more like a rolling metal sphere than a combat vehicle. Built with two large outer wheels and a small rear stabilizer, it had no visible weapons, only a narrow vision slit, and was powered by a small internal engine, suggesting it was meant for short-range missions rather than direct combat. Its true purpose remains a mystery. Historians have speculated that the Kugelpanzer might have been intended for reconnaissance, laying communication cables, or light patrol duties in relatively safe areas. What is known is that it was shipped from Nazi Germany to Imperial Japan during their wartime alliance and somehow ended up in Manchuria, where it was captured by Soviet forces near the end of the war. No other examples have ever been found, and no official blueprints or design documents have surfaced to explain its origins or mission. Today, the only known Kugelpanzer is on display at the Kubinka Tank Museum near Moscow. It remains unrestored, painted a dull silver gray.
Messerschmitt ME 323 Gigant. Nicknamed the Gigant Giant, the Messerschmitt ME 323 was one of the largest land-based transport aircraft of World War II, designed to solve Germany's growing logistical challenges. Developed from an earlier glider model, the ME 323 was fitted with 6 massive engines, enabling it to carry up to 10 to 12 tons of cargo, or as many as 120 fully equipped soldiers, an extraordinary feat for the era. Despite its size and capacity, the ME 323 had significant weaknesses. It was slow, lightly armed, and highly vulnerable to enemy fighters and anti-aircraft fire. Entire squadrons were lost during Allied air raids, most notably in 1943, when a group of these giants was shot down over the Mediterranean while transporting troops to Tunisia. Few traces of the Gigant survived the war. Most were destroyed in combat or scrapped. But in 2012, divers off the coast of Sardinia discovered a partial wreck of an ME 323, including large sections of its fuselage and wing supports. The site was later confirmed through serial numbers and historical flight records. No complete ME 323 exists today, but fragments and salvaged parts are preserved in a handful of aviation museums. The ME 323 remains a striking example of Germany's attempt to win through sheer engineering scale, a reminder that size alone was no guarantee of success in the skies of World War II.
SDKFZ-2 Kettenkrad was one of the most unusual and versatile vehicles used by the German military during World War II. Part motorcycle and part tracked vehicle, it combined the front fork and handlebars of a motorcycle with the rear treads of a small tank, creating a compact half-track capable of traversing mud, snow, and rugged terrain with surprising ease. Originally developed for airborne troops who needed a lightweight yet powerful utility vehicle, it quickly proved invaluable on every front. Powered by a 1.5-liter Opel engine, the Kettenkrad could tow light artillery, lay communication cables, transport ammunition, and even carry personnel across battlefields where ordinary vehicles would get stuck.
Its clever design allowed it to be loaded inside transport aircraft, making it ideal for rapid deployment during airborne operations. Between 1940 and 1944, more than 8,000 units were produced, serving in roles from supply runs on the Eastern Front to towing aircraft on airfields. In the early 2000s, one abandoned Kettenkrad was discovered inside a bombed-out farmhouse in northern France, buried under collapsed roof beams and rubble. Shielded from the elements for decades, it remained remarkably well preserved, with its original treads, engine casing, and motorcycle-style front wheel still intact beneath layers of rust and dust. Historians believe it was left behind during a hurried German retreat as the Allies advanced. After careful extraction, restoration experts managed to salvage much of its original machinery, and today, this once-forgotten vehicle occasionally runs at historical reenactment events, offering a rare glimpse of a machine that blurred the line between motorcycle and mini-tank.
The V-2 rocket transport train. The V-2 rocket was Nazi Germany's most advanced and terrifying long-range weapon, the world's first operational ballistic missile, capable of striking targets more than 300 kilometers away. Deploying such a weapon required a mobile, secretive support system, and the Germans designed special transport trains to move and launch these rockets deep within occupied Europe. In the 1990s, one of these rare V-2 rocket transport trains was rediscovered in the Ardennes forest in Belgium, hidden inside a partially collapsed tunnel that had remained sealed since the end of the war. For decades, locals whispered about a ghost train buried underground, but it wasn't until a road survey accidentally uncovered the tunnel that the legend became reality. Inside, researchers found several flatbed rail cars equipped with heavy mounts and cradles designed to carry rocket components. Though the rockets themselves were long gone, fragments of launch equipment, fuel containers, and identification plates linked the train to V-2 logistical units operating during the winter of 1944. Historians believe this train was abandoned during the Battle of the Bulge, either as German forces retreated or after they deliberately collapsed the tunnel to prevent Allied capture. Today, the site is sealed for preservation, but parts of the rail cars and their equipment have been removed for study. The discovery offers a chilling glimpse into the hidden infrastructure behind one of World War II's most fearsome technological breakthroughs, proof of how far the Nazis were willing to go to unleash destruction from the shadows.
Goliath tracked mine. The Goliath tracked mine, officially known as Leichter Ladungsträger Goliath, was one of Nazi Germany's most daring yet unsettling weapons of World War II, a miniature remote-controlled demolition vehicle designed to destroy tanks, bridges, bunkers, and other fortified targets without risking human lives in direct assaults. Manufactured by companies such as Borgward and Zundap, the Goliath came in both gasoline and electric-powered versions and could carry up to 100 kilograms of high explosives. Operators controlled it using a 600-meter-long guidance cable, steering the small tracked vehicle toward its target before triggering a devastating detonation. Though revolutionary for its time, the Goliath had significant weaknesses. It was slow, lightly armored, and easily disabled by small arms fire or by cutting its control wire. Despite these limitations, thousands of Goliaths were produced and deployed on the Eastern Front and during the Normandy campaign, where they were used to destroy enemy fortifications and disrupt Allied advances. Decades after the war, one of these machines was discovered buried in a field near Cannes, France, hidden beneath layers of soil and vegetation. Remarkably well preserved, it still contained remnants of its original explosive payload, which bomb disposal experts carefully removed before transferring the vehicle to a local military museum. Today, the Goliath stands as an early example of remote-controlled warfare, foreshadowing the drone technology used in modern combat.
Focke-Wulf Triebvogel, or thrust wing, was one of the most futuristic and unconventional aircraft designs to emerge from Nazi Germany's desperate final years. Conceived in 1944 as a vertical takeoff and landing, or VTOL, interceptor, it was intended to defend German cities when traditional airfields were destroyed or unavailable. Unlike any aircraft before it, the Triebflügel featured a rotating wing assembly that acted like a giant spinning propeller. 3 wings, each tipped with a jet engine, would rotate around the fuselage to generate both lift and forward thrust. The aircraft would rise vertically, transition to horizontal flight, and then land vertically, a concept decades ahead of its time. Though engineers completed detailed blueprints and a wind tunnel model, the project never advanced beyond the planning stage. Germany's surrender halted development before a prototype could be built. After the war, Allied forces discovered the plans and a partial mock-up at Focke-Wulf's facilities in Bad Eilsen, Germany, sparking fascination among aviation experts. The Triebflügel has since been compared to later VTOL aircraft, like the Harrier jump jet and experimental Cold War test vehicles. However, modern engineers agree it would have been extremely difficult to control, especially during the tricky transition from vertical to horizontal flight. While no original Triebflügel was ever constructed, full-scale replicas based on recovered documents have been built for museums, offering a rare glimpse at one of the most ambitious and bizarre aircraft concepts of the Nazi era.